It is Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan along for the ride as well, as we have officially hit the offseason. It is our first offseason show, but we still will provide the energy. We'll have the camaraderie. We'll have the chemistry. I'm ready to attack the offseason with such unparalleled vim and vigor. I can't wait to get going.
I don't even have an off season, Chris. I'm just completely on for the rest of my life, it seems like. I've gotten into the media game, and that's what you do in the media game is you keep going and producing content. That's what we're here for. I am excited to talk. There is some fun things that happened
Totally.
already and some good storylines. Sometimes that's not the case, but today I think we're going to have some interesting discussions.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a fascinating offseason. I think just big picture here, you're going to have some teams that might hopefully look at the Dodgers and Yankees, big payrolls, and say, we do need to spend more. There were a few teams last year I thought, stepped up their game, the Kansas City Royals, and, it paid off handsomely with a postseason appearance. They've already done some interesting stuff this offseason. So I think you just want, as a fan, it doesn't matter whether you root for a team that spends $320 million on their payroll or $108 million. You want to feel like the ownership and the front office is as invested as you are.
Yeah, I mean, you want to have some hope going into the season. I mean, you don't want to teams if you're a fan of a team that you're going into a season and you just are like, man, it's going to take a miracle. Like, why would you invest your time, your money? Like, that's what the front office and ownership should be thinking about: is how do I have interest in my club?
Mhm.
And you know what the best way is, Chris? To have a good club. I don't know.
And I know that the GM meetings are going on right now. If you happen to be dipping into the offseason edition of Baseball Today, make a move well before the holiday season so your marketing team can get on top of it. They can
Like
order
that.
jerseys so that they can be ready for the holiday season so you can get your kids invested. Please, for goodness sakes. Let's start off with a little tip of the cap. Dodgers Parade, their first one since 1988. I have lived out here for 25 years, and I know that the sports community, the fans, usually they take it like you're not great sports fans. There's so much else to do. I will say this: Dodger fans and Laker fans are really good. And they showed out. I love this moment where Clayton Kershaw, who did not get to address the crowd after winning in 2020, got his moment. I thought that was part of a very special day.
It was. The crowd was huge, and you're right. I mean, those 2 teams specifically in the Los Angeles area, I mean, those are they own the area. Dodgers,
Mhm.
Lakers, they very much in the fabric of Los Angeles. I got to speak with, Jay Flair yesterday as I
Mm.
was at the Tyler Skaggs Foundation golf
Oh,
tournament,
that's nice.
and, he's been having a blast, obviously, but one thing he did mention was he just couldn't believe the amount of people there. He said it just seemed like a dream, and, yeah, I think it looked that way on social media. I was gonna go down there. I thought about it, Chris, and then I thought better of
Yeah. It looks great on TV. Perfect.
it.
Just
Yeah.
throw on Sportsnet
I
LA.
just thought
We'll
about
watch
where am I
it.
gonna park, and I'm like, "I'm okay,
Oh,
I'm out."
yeah. By the way, your boy was stumbling around all over the place. And by the way, why not? You win it as long as
Yeah.
you're taken care of with a ride. Good for you.
Yeah, I told him, "Get out of here. You had your fun in LA for 5 days," whatever it was. "Go to Mexico, like, do some sauna, hot tub massage, relax, get your body back, and then get back to work."
Yeah, yeah. All right, we're going to start off with this. It's the reason I'm wearing a Yankee hat. I know the Yankee fans are not very happy with me these days, but that's okay. Nothing I ever say is personal, but I do mean what I say. And here's a fact: Gerrit Cole ain't going anywhere. Now, over the weekend, he did opt out of his deal midway through his deal. Monday, he agreed to stay on his current contract, which is 4 years and 144 million. Now, it was reported over the weekend that the Yankees could have dismissed that part by adding an extra year, a fifth year, and bringing the deal all the way up to 180 million. Brian Cashman and the Yankees balked at that. Gerrit Cole and his team, of course, Scott Boras is his representative, said, okay, we'll just work under the current terms of our deal and not work toward an extension. Are you surprised that this is the way it worked out?
Not really, to be honest. I do feel like the Yankees had some leverage here. Number one, Cole, he had some health issues this year. I'm not saying he's old, but he's getting older every year. Hey, nice reporting right there, Trev. So I think they could point to that. They could also, and this is what I really think happened, and I have no inside information on this. So I'm just thinking like human nature right here. They understand that Scott Boras has another, he's got a big dog to worry about in Juan Soto, and that's going to take up a ton of his energy. And they basically, I think, were like, hey, Scott, do you want to have to do this twice this offseason? I remember when Boras had Hosmer and Moustakas together, and it seemed like he kind of focused on Hosmer. Hosmer got the big deal. I think Moose ended up signing for like 1 year 8 or something like that before he eventually got his deal with the Reds. But I think they're saying, hey, man, if you want to bring your guy out there and get him 4 years for $36 million a year somewhere else, which I think he could have done, I just don't think he maybe has the bandwidth to do that, plus the other guys that he's representing. So I think the Yankees, again, I think they could point to the beginning of the season saying, hey, man, he, had some health issues. We already have him locked up for another 4 years at 36 per. Like, we can talk about that later. Let's not put a time restraint on this, which is essentially what it was. And by saying that, I think the Yankees, that is, got exactly what they wanted, which was him back at the original contract, not putting on the extra year. I just think they worked the leverage there a little bit. And I think if Boras is as smart as I think he is, I think he knew it was going to go this way. And he's like, why not take a shot here and see if they do opt into it? I think both sides kind of understood what was going to happen. I don't think this was some like shocking thing that people, seem to think it was.
So I was thinking to myself when I saw that they could keep him for 5 years and 180, I was thinking to myself, man, I don't think that's the smart thing for a 34-year-old who just started to have elbow trouble for the first time in his career. That doesn't sound right. But the Yankees also couldn't afford to lose far and away their best starting pitcher, who has done, and we talked about this countless times throughout the year, has done virtually everything you have asked out of the guy since he signed a $300+ million deal. So Gerrit Cole probably heard Scott Boras and he said, listen, based on your age and the fact that you just had your first elbow injury, you're probably not going to do much better than this if you are on the open market. Are you happy in New York? Yeah, I love it. It's my childhood team. This is the team I want to be. All right. This is kind of where we are. We don't have much leverage. Let's just keep the relationship going. Okay, great. I'll see you next year and play for 30 whatever million next season. So that was pretty simple to me. I worry a little bit about him because it is the first time that he's had elbow trouble. I didn't realize until the World Series that he had only thrown over 100 pitches one time during the regular season. Like that doesn't sound like Gerrit Cole. So hopefully an offseason of rest and strengthening that elbow will get him back to what he was, because he's certainly, the last game of the year that he pitched was nothing short of phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they have a different type of offseason program for him, whether that's the Yankees giving it to him or Garrett getting it somewhere else, which is usually what happens. They'll get throwing programs. You'll get a workout program from your team, but a lot of guys will take it into their own hands, go to, different gyms and see different specialists and kind of develop their own program, maybe in coalition with the organization. They'll work together. But this is something that the Yankees have struggled with, though, is keeping those aging guys healthy.
You're right.
They really need to take a look and make sure they're getting this one right.
All right. Juan Soto, Corbin Burns, Alex Bregman led a group of 13 players who received the qualifying offer on Monday. So that means they have 2 weeks to accept it for a shade over 21.05 million. Last season, 7 players received the qualifying offer. None took it. I got 2 questions. Who on the list has the toughest decision, and which player who could have received the qualifying offer is most happy that he did not? So we'll go 1 and 1 here.
I'm going to go with one of the pitchers. I think there are a couple pitchers on that list that have an interesting decision that lies ahead, but I'll go with Nick Pivetta because I played with him, and I just feel like I have some insight on that. So $21 million is what the qualifying offer is, and some change. I think Nick Pivetta has settled into, let's just call him like a good middle rotation guy. I think he does have the stuff to be a top of the rotation guy, and if he gets into the right organization, maybe they can unlock some things. Um, but that range of pitchers, the going rate for that seems to be 15 to 17 million dollars, and that's if you don't have a qualifying offer. So, what I think might happen with Nick, and again, I don't have any inside info here. I'm just trying to put myself in his shoes. If you accept the qualifying offer and you go back, you're going to earn more money than you probably would earn this year on the open market. And then you can re-enter the free agent market at age 32 with no qualifying offer. I think that might be, you're banking on yourself a little bit. You're going to have to take an insurance policy out, all of these good things. But I think that is probably the way that he'll end up with the best deal, over the next 4 or 5 years. I think if he goes out there, rejects the qualifying offer, I don't know. There's going to be teams that are going to sign him, but these teams really do value those draft picks. And so I just think he's got a really interesting scenario ahead of him. My take would be, yes, take the qualifying offer, pitch at $21 million this year, go into the market next year again, hopefully with a good year under your belt, and go get another 4-year deal. And maybe by that time, without the qualifying offer, maybe you can get that $21 million a year. And all of a sudden you've made $100 million, 5 years, $100 million. I don't think he gets that this year. But no. I do think if he has a good year, doesn't have the qualifying offer attached, maybe he ends up with a 4-year 80 after that.
For people that aren't familiar with the rules, a team that signs a player who rejected the qualifying offer before next year's draft has to surrender draft pick compensation, could also lose international bonus pool money. That's why it's so dangerous for some of these guys to turn that down. For me, it's Luis Severino. And he had a really fascinating year because the one thing he had to prove was that he was healthy. And he did that. He made 31 starts, but his WAR was just a little bit over 1. He tied for the lowest strikeout rate of his career. His ERA plus was 101. So you're talking right around average. I think that he could probably think that I just needed to show that I was healthy. And I think that if he went out on the open market, I would be afraid that people would say, great, you made 31 starts. They were good, but they're not great. They're not great enough for us to give up a draft pick and international bonus pool money. So I worry that he could be a guy that gets stuck having to take a 1-year deal late, maybe even after the amateur draft is done.
Yeah, those are the two guys that I was looking at. And I think, if we were their agents, I probably would advise them to take the 1-year deal.
There's nothing wrong with it. And the key part that you mentioned was once you have, it's like the franchise tag in football. Like there's times where you can't get slapped with it because you've already had it on you. And in baseball, it's even better. They can only do this to you one time, and then that's it. We'll see you next year. Severino turns 31, I think, in February. So if he has another good year at $21 million, who's to say there's not a 3-year deal waiting for him at the end of that rainbow? I hope that happens. Let's go quickly on the other one. Who's the guy who's happy that he didn't get slapped with it?
So I think it's Jack Flaherty, my buddy. Because he got traded during the middle of the season, he's not eligible for the qualifying offer. I think he's maybe a notch above Pivetta as far as like where people would rank him as a starting pitcher. Mm-hmm. He had a good year this year. At the end of the year, mixed bag in the postseason, but again, I think he threw over 200 total innings this year. So he showed that he's healthy, but because he has no qualifying offer, he's going to be able to get. I think he's going to sign, 4 years. I think he's going to be right around that $17 million a year range. I think he's going to get that, and teams, there are going to be more teams in on him, so he'll have more leverage because he doesn't have the qualifying offer attached.
I could use this guy for the answer here and also in question 4, which we're going to touch on in just a bit. Jurickson Profar is a fascinating case study. Yep. He was one of the worst players in baseball statistically in 2023, and he went back to San Diego. Remember, he started the year in Colorado in 2023, finished in San Diego. He went back to the Padres for 1 year and $1 million. $1 million for a guy who's played as long as he has. And he rewarded them with his best career year, and it wasn't even close. Now, the question is, when he's on the open market, will people say, well, you got to prove me more than just 1 year, you know? But the fact that he has nothing attached to him. Now, I still think he could get, if I were to play the guessing game, I bet you he could get a 3-year deal in the low 40s.
I was gonna be
I
right
think,
around there as well. I think 3 or 36 is where I would probably land with him.
great. It's better than
Yeah.
21. And you don't have to have the pressure of having to show it again. So you talked about it earlier that you're probably going to make less this year than the 21 million, but you have the rest of the bag secured for a couple of years.
Yeah.
That's the way
No,
I
he's interesting. I'm curious to see who's going to be in on him besides the Padres. I think there are guys that you get into an organization and you develop an sort of like an equity with them where
Mhm.
you're very valuable to this team and you may not be as valuable to another team, or maybe they don't know how valuable you can be because you're not in the building. Like people in San Diego will say, oh man, he was great for the clubhouse and he did this and did that, all these little things, intangibles if you will, that another organization doesn't know of. I think right now his value is highest with the Padres, and we'll see if anybody else kind of decides that he could be great on their team as well.
If Teoscar Hernandez doesn't return to the Dodgers, I'd love to see him head to LA and he could be locker mates with Will Smith.
There's a lot of stuff like that, man.
Let's do that. All right, this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know my thoughts on therapy. It is a critical part of your existence. I've been in and out of therapy ever since I was a little kid. There wasn't one particular incident that led my family to having me go to therapy. They just always felt that it was important to have another set of ears and eyes on a situation outside of the family home. And I think that it's really important to be able to talk out whatever issues, because there's all sorts of hurdles that come at your life in different times. Now, this month in particular, it's all about gratitude. And there's someone we don't get to thank enough. That'd be ourselves. Sometimes it's hard to remind ourselves we're trying our best to make sense of everything. It's a crazy world. It doesn't stop. It is not easy. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people in your life, including yourself. If you're thinking of starting therapy, you got to give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient and flexible and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a very brief questionnaire. You're going to get matched up with a licensed therapist. If you have a session and you're like, I'm not clicking with that person, that's all right. You can change therapists at any time, no additional charge. So let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/baseball today. You're going to get 10% off that first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/baseball today. We wish you all the best. All right, we continue on, and the Brewers, interesting move over the weekend. They declined the $10.5 million option on their all-star closer, Devin Williams. He actually still has 1 year left of arbitration. People think he's going to get in the high sevens for that year. Do you think that this has ended his tenure in Milwaukee and he gets traded over the offseason?
Oh, I mean, I don't think this specific a move means he's going to be traded. I think you said it, bro. Do you think Milwaukee would rather pay him $7.5 million or $10 million? Like they're gonna save $2.5 million. They're gonna take that route. So I think that's just a business move. I think Devin Williams understands that. Look, he was hurt for a big portion of this year, and because of that, it brought his arbitration number down. So I think it's a business move. I think he understands that. Now, if you're asking me, is he going to get traded? Maybe. I don't think it's guaranteed one way or the other. Are they going to shop him this offseason? Yes. 100%. Will they take calls on Devin Williams, one of the best closers in baseball? Yes. But I think the Brewers are smart with this. They will put out feelers, and if they feel like they're getting a significant package, a significant return for him, they'll take it. If they put out feelers and they feel like, nah, this is not really meeting our asking price, then they'll bring him back. I just, there's no guarantee one way or the other. The only guarantee is that they are going to shop him, and the Brewers are great at this. I mean, they believe in their system more than any other team in baseball. They say, we can give up Devin Williams and we can have Piamps or Koenig or, all these guys that stepped up, McGill, all these guys that stepped up for in his absence. They think that they can just continuously do that, and they've proven that they can. They got rid of Hader, then Williams stepped in. Or is it one of those guys I mentioned in the same ilk as Williams or Hader? I don't really know. Maybe they think they are, but I don't think this specific move means anything other than, hey man, we're saving $2.5 million. You understand?
2 words. He gone. They're going to trade him. This is what the Brewers have done. I'm not going to say they've totally become can I call them the Oakland A's? I know that we've gotten rid of Oakland, but they did.
You cannot say Oakland.
Right. But that was kind of the blueprint, right? Guys get toward the end of their deal. Let's get what we can for them. Closers, it doesn't even matter if you're heading into the last year of a deal. Somebody will make a play for him. Now, and I'm surprised you took this stance that you said that Devin Williams will understand the business side of things. Let's remember a couple of years ago when Corbin Burns, do you remember this? When they took him to arbitration.
They went to arbitration, yeah.
Right? And
he went into an arbitration hearing. That doesn't mean that Devin Williams is going to.
That I understand. But there was obviously a rub that hit him the wrong way from the business side of things. So even though practically Devin Williams can understand the situation, that does not mean that he has to be happy about it. And it doesn't mean that he's going to, if he has to put on a Brewers uniform next year, it doesn't mean that he's going to take his job less seriously or anything, but it can rub you the wrong way and it can affect your attitude. And I certainly would understand that from his standpoint. Look at how much he has done for the organization. So they made no bones about it. We're not picking up that $10.5 million option. There are some teams that would say, you've built up a lot of goodwill. You've done a lot of good things. Some people will just want to remember him punching a wall, and some people want to remember him giving up a big homer in the playoffs to Pete Alonso. He's done a lot of good shit for the Milwaukee Brewers.
No, he's been great, but Devin Williams is looking just like I am right here at his baseball reference page and saying, I threw 21 2/3 innings in the regular season. Like, he understands. If it was different, Chris, if they were saying, if he went out and pitched, let's just say even in the 40s, because, typically in a full season, he's throwing in between 55 and 60 innings. Let's say he got to the 40s and the Brewers were going to save, arbitration wise, they were going to get $9 million or $9.5 million, and instead of 10, they took an arbitration over $500,000, even $1 million. I think that's when you start to get rubbed the wrong way. But if you're talking a difference of 2.5 and you only threw 21 2/3 innings, I think you understand the situation. Would you rather get 10 million? Of course. But you just have to be realistic a little bit, especially if you're playing for a team like Milwaukee, dude. Like, he understands how they operate. He saw him. He didn't just get given the closer role, but essentially, they gave it to him because they got rid of another legendary closer. So he understands this is the way they operate.
Which is
I just don't think there's some shock.
I don't think it's shock, but right. I understand him understanding it, but him understanding it and him liking it are two totally different things. The previous 3 years, Trev, he pitched 58, 65, and 61 games. His worst ERA in that span was 2.5. His strikeouts per 9, 14.5, 14.2, 13.3, and last year almost 16. The guy hasn't just been good and available until last year. He has been great. He has been great. And what message does it send to everybody else in that clubhouse that for 3 out of 4 years you were available and elite, that last year you weren't available till the second half of the year, but you were still elite, but we're going to take this back.
I'd say that you sign a contract. Once you sign a contract, it's a contract.
I understand, but that you have to be able to. You're telling me that guys in that clubhouse aren't taking notice of the way that the Brewers have treated Josh Hader, then Corbin Burns, and now Devin Williams? Of course they're paying attention. They
don't care, though, because the way they operate is those guys aren't going to stick around in free agency, dude. They're I'm not going to call them the A's like you did, but it's just not what they do. They bring young guys up and they give them opportunities. And guess what? A lot of the guys that you're talking about got opportunities because of the way that the Brewers operate. They let guys go and they bring up the guys that they've developed. That's just So the guys that are there because they got, how could you be mad at them continuing to do what gave you your opportunity? Like you just, when you're in a situation like that, you're just like, oh yeah, that's just, hey man, like I'm going to play my 4 or 5 years here and then we'll see what happens. Like, is it great? I don't know. Ask them. I think they could say both ways because again, they got their opportunity by the Brewers acting this way. And I don't think it is a guarantee that it gets traded, Chris. They don't.
I think he does.
Why am I blanking on the name right now? My guy, Willie Adames.
Oh,
Everyone thought he was going to get traded.
right.
He didn't get traded.
He did not get traded. I do think, though, the closers are different breed. I think executives are really split on closers. I really do. Everybody knows you've got to have one.
I think I'm split on closers.
So here's 3 teams I'll just throw out there. And I don't know if it's a perfect match because it's 3 of the worst farm systems in baseball. It's the Giants, the Royals, and the Padres. Those are 3 teams I would look at.
Really?
Yep, I would. Well, the Giants were a disaster at the back end.
I don't understand what the heck the Giants are doing. I don't know where they're headed, what's going on with them. I do know my buddy is the new pitching coach.
Who's that?
JP Martinez. He's been with them, but he got elevated to the pitching coach.
All right, that's nice. I don't think that those are perfect matches in terms of what Milwaukee could get in return. But we'll see. Maybe they like somebody in one of those systems. I just wanted to throw that out there. All right, we know who leads the free agent class. Juan Soto. Get it. Give me one guy who's a very interesting dude on the free agent market and why.
Well, I hope we're not going the same guy. I think it's Alex Bregman. It's always been Alex Bregman for me. You know, this is a guy that spent his entire career in one organization, already had one extension there, has won a bunch, seems like he's really part of the fabric. They're another organization that's kind of been split on how they handle the veterans that are reaching free agency. You know, obviously they extended Jose Altuve, excuse me. It's the offseason, guys. They extended Jose Altuve, but most guys, they've decided to let depart. I just feel like, I don't know, man, Bregman's he's just been there, and as much as Jose Altuve feels like the statue guy there and, such a massive part of their organizational turnaround, I feel like Bregman's been there every step of the way as well. So he's interesting to me because of that aspect. And I feel like he's kind of rubbed a lot of organizations the wrong way and a lot of players the wrong way. So it's like you're bringing him into the clubhouse. I specifically, myself, don't think that's a problem. I think he can go anywhere and he'll be fine. But he's very interesting to me. I'm very curious to see who's in on him, kind of like what he gets.
For me, it's the switch hitting outfielder of the Baltimore Orioles, Anthony Santander. He's only 30, 105 homers over the last 3 seasons. Pete Alonso's the only guy that has hit more that is going to be in this free agent market. Good arm, but he can't cover any ground whatsoever. He is almost catcher-esque on the base paths. But he's got pop, and you can put him toward the top of your lineup, and he can be a huge difference maker. So I am fascinated to see how he is going to be valued this offseason. He's a guy that posts every day, but he feels more DH-ish than outfield. He'd be outfield if you could just deal with his arm. But once again, he doesn't cover any ground out there. So he's a defensive liability. I can't wait to see who's going to give him money and how much.
Yeah, I think they're both very interesting. I'm looking at Breggy's baseball reference page right now where they've actually included WAR right at the beginning of the stat page now, which is interesting. That's a new move for them. I didn't know he accumulated that much WAR this year. So 2022, 4.6, 2023, 4.9, 2024, 4.1. You do not just find 4 WAR players anywhere.
Yep, you're right.
That he's going to get paid, man.
Oh, I agree. All right. You notice how the days are shorter, but your to-do lists are not? Power through your busy days with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. From breakfast to dinner, everything in between, Factor has easy, nutritious options that keep you fueled up and feeling your best. You can choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, manage protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well-balanced meals. Because Factor's meals, they're chef-prepared, they're dietitian-approved. You're going to love not only how Factor meals taste, but how they support your goals. And check this out. Factor is cheaper than takeout and dining out. I'm going to repeat this to all of my friends who spend way too much money. Factor is cheaper than takeout and dining out. So put the money you save toward holiday shopping or reaching your financial goals. I love Factor for the middle of the day. That is my tough area. I got my late mornings taken care of. I got dinner taken care of. Middle of the day, I have these gremlins that yell at me like, Rose, eat, eat, eat. When I have Factor in the house, I just open the fridge. I pop in one of those meals, a couple minutes, it's ready to go. I feel good. I'm taken care of. My belly is full, and I'll see you at dinner. So head on over to factormeals.com/today50. Use that code today50. You're going to get half off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That is the code today50. Factormeals.com/today50. Half off first box, 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Your belly will thank me later. All right, before we get out of here, Blitzball Battle 5 started last night. It was freaking awesome. If you haven't had time to watch it, I'm not going to ruin the ending for you, but go check it out. Now, Todd McElwain, who apparently is a big John Boy Media fan, came up and made all of the we're all characters in this Blitzball Battle 5, so we all had little looks. How do you think he did with the two of us?
I think we're interesting. My beard's a little thick there.
Mm.
I kind of look like a Egyptian, like my wife. So maybe she's rubbing off on me. I don't think your cheeks are that chubby.
They're not.
I think you're in a little bit better shape than this guy, for being honest.
Well, I'll be from the shoulders down. I'm actually not, but from the shoulders up, I think I am. I think, and also,
where's the gray in the beard?
Yeah, there needs to be some gray in the beard. And did I borrow Nelson Cruz's eyebrows? What happened? What's going on?
Did you put your eye black over right here?
Yeah,
on your eyelids.
But I will commend him for this. And first of all, Todd, we're just having fun. We appreciate.
Yeah, we love you. That is really great.
Why
am I a B+? Wait, what does B+ mean?
I was wondering how long it's going to take. He nailed Zoe. Did you see Zoe? Nailed it.
God. Who's an A on his list? Give me an A.
I don't know. Yeah, Zoe's a C+. But the
right,
look is great. And actually, it comes with sound. So it goes like, hey, Rose, how you doing?
Okay, nobody. Oh, wait. Jimmy's an A- and
Colin Stone.
And Jake's an A. Okay, there's some preferential treatment going on. I get it. You want to please the bosses or something, bro.
Yeah.
But let's be serious here. Jimmy is a freaking C-, and Jake is a C at best.
Wow. The gauntlet's been thrown down.
Boom.
Make sure you tune in. It was special on Monday because we didn't want to have to go against the election. So it'll be every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Join us in the live stream. It's always a blast. It is great. Blitzball Battle Season 5 is one for the ages as we wrap up the entire franchise year for 2024. It's awesome. We will see you again later this week. I think we're going on Thursday, correct? We're going to try and do this on maybe Mondays and Thursdays this week. We had to do a little scheduling snafu, but we're getting that all ironed out. So we will see you later this week. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you later this week on Thursday on Baseball Today. Here now, a preview of Blitzball Battle 5. Blitzball Battle 5. Game 1, it is a true classic. Team baggage, we got ice. We haven't seen this since the first ever game of Blitzball Battle 1.
This game is going to be one for the ages. I've said it. These two teams have got something to prove. We got ice. They've been the favorites for a lot of years, and they haven't been able to pull anything out. And look, we've got the company. This is the company we're talking about.
Peter, you're so right. Both of these teams do have something to prove. When you think of these tournaments, you think of these two squads. The fact that they both have 0 points is ridiculous, honestly. It's horrible. Talking to Jake before the game, I said, you got anything for me? And he just said, baggage is back.
What are they back from?
Well, a lot of things.
A lot of losses?
All right.
A lot of things.
What do you have?
I've got to go. We got ice. They're going to get off on a beautiful start today. Zoe has been the most improved in this warehouse over the last few years. We'll see what they've got.
I think I'm going to go with We Got Ice. We will see you later today. Blitzball Battle 5, Game 1.